Alright, today we're focusing on how to generate more spin. First point, you must engage your fingers at the exact moment of contact with the ball. So, to use your fingers effectively, for shake hand grip, your index finger on the back must be relatively flat. If they're not flat, you'll struggle to generate heavy spin. Because only with flat fingers can your wrist drop down, allowing you to brush the ball much better. If your fingers are curled, your contact angle won't be optimal for creating friction. To loop a ball with heavy spin, it doesn't matter if you're a penholder or a shakehander. You have to drop your wrist on the backswing. Most amateurs, when trying to loop with spin, have a stiff wrist on their backswing. It's not relaxed and fails to drop properly. Only when your wrist drops can you truly feel yourself gripping the ball on contact. Second point, is it wrist rotation or finger power? The answer is finger power. Let's take a look at the two finger actions I'm about to do and see which one is correct. We're focusing on looping backspin here, because you can get away with less wrist and finger action against topspin. The first. The second. Both the first and second brushing techniques I'm demonstrating are actually correct. The first method is just geared more towards a high arc, spinny loop. So, when should you use a spinny loop versus a power loop? When your opponent gives you a fast, long push with a deep second bounce. Don't worry about not being able to lift the ball. Against this kind of ball, you should use that first brushing angle. Because their push already has a lot of quality, your main job is to create a high arc. At this point, you're not worried about forward power, you're worried about clearing the net. So, after dropping your wrist, you must use your fingers to drive forward and upward. After you finish the stroke, your racket should end up above the net. So when can you go for the power loop? Against soft, slow, half-long balls where you can't use their pace. If you only lift upwards, you'll hit the net due to an insufficient arc. When their return is slow, soft, and half-long, your fingers and wrist need to start driving forward. Your forward angle needs to be slightly bigger. This is because you have to actively generate the ball's trajectory yourself. Remember, the softer the ball, the more you loop up, the more likely you are to hit the net. And the faster their ball comes, the more you drive forward, the more likely you are to hit the net. Because a fast ball already has pace, your first priority must be clearing the net. So, against a long push or a fast backspin serve, you must secure the arc. While brushing forward, you also have to lift upwards to create a high arc, exaggerate the brushing trajectory. Because the incoming spin might be heavier than you think. If their return is very slow and passive, like a half-long chop or a dead backspin ball. This is when you must go into the ball, driving forward as you brush it. Here, you must reduce the upward angle. Too much lift will create a short arc and cause you to hit the net. Looping is, first, about friction, and second, about the angle of force. Upward and forward brushing are usually combined. So, if the incoming ball is heavy and fast, you should brush forward and up. If they give you a half-long ball, you should close your racket angle a bit and brush more forward. Once you master these two trajectories, your follow-through will naturally be correct. Third key point, if your backswing and shot path are on a single straight line, your ball won't be very spinny. For example, just going from bottom to top or back to front is a straight line. So, I want you to try a curved motion. Backswing close to your body, then brush outwards towards the center line. Try brushing this way. I guarantee you the spin will be much stronger. This technique is less obvious on the forehand side, but when you pivot, this outside arc acceleration is far more effective. Practice this forehand pivot to really feel it. Backswing behind and to the side of your body, then explode forward and sideways. Just try brushing the ball this way. It will have incredible spin. The feeling of gripping the ball will be immediately different. It feels much deeper than a simple back-to-front brush. If your backswing just goes straight back instead of tucking in behind your body, your brush will be mostly forward or upward, without much of a curve. Without that curved path, the ball might have some spin, but it won't be consistent. In our brushing system, you must focus on this. Before you brush, tuck the racket in. During the brush, drive it out. After the brush, bring it back. This is the most important thing. It's tuck in, drive out, snap back. The motion must be small and focused. Your biggest problem right now is too large of a swing. Brushing must be compact. Keep the motion this small. Don't be afraid of even the spinniest ball. Only with a compact motion can you properly brush the ball. You're hitting the net or going long because you feel like you need to lift your arm for safety. In reality, the smaller your brushing motion, the more you can counteract the spin. A bigger motion actually makes you more affected by it. You can think of it as failing to grip the ball, or the ball slipping off your racket. So, the spinnier the incoming ball, the smaller our motion should be. When looping, at the moment of contact, there are essentially two trajectories. For very spinny balls where you can use their pace, you must brush forward and upward. If there's no pace to use, like on a half-long ball or a high ball, you must focus on driving forward. Ensure you go forward first, then upward. Never just go straight up. The sequence is forward, then up. If you're doing what I say but your loop still lacks spin, here are some possible issues. First, it's a relaxation problem. Look, your posture is tense. My shoulder is open. You're not fully relaxed. First requirement is to relax. Second, the racket head must be pointing down. My racket head is pointing at my calf. You need to be close to your calf. Third, let's add speed. Swing together with me. See how much better the speed is? Relax. Swing with your fastest possible speed. See? Now the power is coming through. You need to accelerate. Don't force it with your forearm, use your fingers. See how short the stroke is? You might feel that if you don't use a lot of power, the ball won't be spinny. But actually, the shorter the loop, the spinnier the ball. Come on, accelerate. Use your fingers. Accelerate, use your fingers. As your racket speed increases, the spin increases with it. Think of it as going from 20 revolutions per minute, accelerating to 50, then accelerating again to get to 80. So you absolutely must relax. That's how we get better brush and acceleration. First, master that moment of friction to grip the ball. Then, you can start releasing your power. Actually, the friction comes first, and the power comes second. But that first part takes a lot of skill. You might think you're relaxed, your racket head is down, and your speed is up, but it's still not nearly enough. You have to unleash your maximum potential, accelerate like crazy. That's how we get a spinny loop. Your backswing is too far forward. Mine is back here by my hip. You need to open up your hips more. Then brush towards that spot on the side front. You'll find the ball is even spinnier. Very spinny. For amateurs, the difficulty is either brushing too much through the whole stroke, or all power with no brush. You need to separate these two parts. Your first phase, the brush, is already very good. Now practice the second phase, simulate opening your forearm from the side of your body and driving straight forward. Find that feeling. Yes, open and drive. Open, beautiful. Now, connect step 1 and step 2. First brush, then drive through. Good shot. Combine the brush and the powerful drive. You can't succeed with just one or the other. Everyone, practice the first step first, gripping the ball. Then practice the second step, simulate opening the forearm and driving directly forward. Then, connect the two steps, and you'll have a devastating power loop. This is the feeling I'm always talking about. Since the opponent's ball has backspin, you first have to really grip the ball to counter the spin. After that, you must finish the stroke as if you were looping a topspin ball. If you can understand this, you'll be able to loop any ball, no matter how spinny. Honestly, generating spin isn't that difficult. Just do what we talked about, relax, point the racket head to the floor, and use your fingers to accelerate. For step 2, open up your arm and accelerate forward. After you drive through, brake sharply. Then, coordinate with your body, bringing the racket back behind your hip and whipping it out. Be bold with that forward drive. Unleash your power, don't be afraid to miss the table. This is a common problem in training too. Sometimes you're too conservative. That's why you never really discover your own power limit. You have to drive through boldly. Even if you miss one or two, keep hitting freely. Don't immediately tighten up. After hitting freely, the last thing you need to do is master that sharp braking motion to finish the stroke compactly. Don't be afraid. Sometimes when we test power, we'll loop the ball way off the table, and then stop instantly at the end. That braking motion is crucial.